I have a couple theories for myself, but I'll save that for another time. I'm your host Yusuf, and these are 10 Jack the Ripper theories that could be true. Make sure to subscribe and ring that bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Anyways, let's get ripping.
All I wanted was a glass of gin.
Number 10, the Royal Conspiracy Theory. The first theory we will be discussing is the Royal Conspiracy Theory. According to this theory, Jack the Ripper was a member of the royal family, and the endings were covered up to protect the reputation of the royal family. The Royal Conspiracy Theory is one of the most intriguing and controversial theories about Jack the Ripper. This theory suggests that the Ripper executions were part of a larger conspiracy involving members of the royal family. According to this theory, the Ripper was a member of the royal household who was tasked with carrying out the executions in order to cover up a scandal involving the royal family. The theory is based on the idea that one of the Ripper's victims, Catherine Eddowes, was carrying a message that would have revealed damaging information about the royal family. The theory also suggests that the Ripper was able to carry out his crimes with impunity because of his connections to the royal household, and that the authorities were reluctant to pursue him for fear of exposing the scandal. Evidence supporting this theory includes eyewitness accounts of a royal carriage being seen near the crime scene and letters purporting to be from Jack the Ripper that were addressed to the royal family. While there is no concrete proof to support this theory, it remains one of the most intriguing and popular theories surrounding Jack the Ripper. The idea that the royal family could be involved in such horrific acts was a shocking one, and it continues to capture the imagination of people to this day. However, despite the lack of concrete evidence, many experts believe that this theory is highly unlikely, and that the royal family was not involved in the Jack the Ripper endings. Number 9, the Freemason Theory. The Masonic theory, or Freemason theory, is based on the idea that Jack the Ripper was a member of the Freemasons, a secret society that was widely believed to have wielded great power and influence in Victorian England. According to this theory, the Ripper was carrying out the executions as part of a Masonic ritual or initiation. The theory is based on the idea that the Ripper's victims were chosen specifically because they represented different aspects of the female archetype, and that the Ripper was carrying out the executions as part of a secret Masonic ritual. Proponents of this theory also point to the fact that some of the Ripper's letters were written in code, which they believe was a reference to Masonic symbols and rituals. Evidence supporting this theory includes the fact that several of the victims were found with Masonic symbols near them, and that the police handling the case were also members of the Masonic order. However, despite the intriguing nature of this theory, there is very little concrete evidence to support it, and many experts believe that it is unlikely that the Freemasons were involved in the Jack the Ripper endings. Nevertheless, the idea that a secret society could be involved in such a horrific act continues to be a popular topic of discussion and speculation. Number 8, the Psychiatrist Theory. The next theory we will be discussing is the Psychiatrist Theory. According to this theory, Jack the Ripper was a physician or psychiatrist who had a knowledge of anatomy and was using the endings as a means of furthering his medical knowledge. Evidence supporting this theory includes the fact that the endings were carried out with surgical precision, and that some of the victims were found with organs missing. This theory suggests that Jack the Ripper was driven by a desire to advance his knowledge of anatomy and medicine, rather than by any sort of sadistic or violent urge. However, despite the compelling nature of this theory, there is still much debate among experts about its validity, and many believe that it is highly unlikely that a physician or psychiatrist would be capable of carrying out such horrific acts. What do you think? Number 7, the Sweeney Todd Theory. Another theory about Jack the Ripper is that he was the infamous barber Sweeney Todd. This theory suggests that the endings were carried out as part of a sinister plan to dispose of bodies for Todd's cannibalistic activities. Evidence supporting this theory includes the fact that Sweeney Todd was known to be operating in the same area as Jack the Ripper, and that some of the victims were found with their throats slit, just as Sweeney Todd was known to do with his victims. However, there is very little concrete evidence to support it, and many experts believe that it is unlikely that Sweeney Todd was actually Jack the Ripper. Nevertheless, the idea that a famous historical figure could be involved in such horrific acts continues to be a popular topic of discussion and speculation. Number 6. The Kosminski Theory. This is one of the most widely accepted theories about Jack the Ripper, that he was a Polish-Jewish immigrant named Kosminski. This theory is based on DNA evidence that was recently discovered and analyzed, which matches Kosminski to a sample of blood found on one of the victim's shawls. Additionally, several witnesses reported seeing a man matching Kosminski's description near the crime scenes. This theory is considered to be the most credible and is supported by many experts in the field. However, some still question whether Kosminski was truly Jack the Ripper or if the DNA evidence could have been contaminated. Nevertheless, the Kosminski theory remains the most widely accepted theory about the identity of Jack the Ripper. Number 5. The Madness Theory. One theory is that Jack the Ripper was a person who suffered from some form of mental illness, perhaps even insanity. The mental illness theory suggests that Jack the Ripper was a mentally ill individual who committed the crimes as a result of his illness. According to this theory, Jack the Ripper was suffering from a severe mental illness, such as schizophrenia or a dissociative disorder, which caused him to act out in a violent and sadistic manner. Proponents of this theory point to the Ripper's brutality and seemingly indiscriminate attacks, as well as his ability to elude capture and disappear without a trace as evidence of his mental instability. Some believe that the Ripper's illness was exacerbated by his poverty and social isolation, which may have led to the development of his violent sadistic tendencies. This theory is based on the gruesome and seemingly random nature of the executions, which some believe could have only been committed by a person who is mentally unstable. Supporters of this theory point to the fact that many serial enders have had a history of mental illness, and the brutal nature of the Ripper's crimes suggests that he was not in his right mind. The violence and irrationality displayed in the crimes would support this theory, as would the fact that the Ripper seemed to vanish into thin air without leaving behind any clues or evidence. Number 4. The Occult Theory. Another theory is that Jack the Ripper was involved in some form of occult or mystic practice. This theory is based on the fact that many of the victims were found with strange symbols or markings near their bodies, which some believe were connected to some form of ritualistic or mystical practice, like we discussed earlier in the Freemason Theory. Additionally, the Ripper's methods of mutilation and the bizarre nature of some of the crime scenes have led some to believe that he was attempting to communicate some kind of message through his executions. The theory that the Ripper was involved in the occult also ties into the idea that he was attempting to carry out some form of ritualistic ending, perhaps as part of a larger ritual or ceremony. However, this theory doesn't account for the fact that the Ripper's crimes took place in the midst of a heavily populated urban area, and it also doesn't explain why the Ripper chose to target female intimacy workers specifically. Number 3. The Political Theory. A political theory suggests that Jack the Ripper was a political activist who was trying to make a statement or draw attention to a particular cause. This theory is based on the fact that many of the Ripper's victims were poor and working class women, and the executions occurred at a time of great social upheaval and political turmoil in England. Some believe that the Ripper was trying to draw attention to the plight of the working class and to protest against the social and political conditions of the time. This theory suggests that the Ripper saw the poverty-stricken women of the East End as symbols of the larger social and political problems of the day, and that he was trying to use their passings to bring these issues to the forefront. However, this theory doesn't explain the sadistic or brutal nature of the Ripper's crimes, or why he chose to mutilate his victims in the manner that he did. Number 2. The Insider Theory. The Insider Theory posits that Jack the Ripper was someone who was intimately familiar with the area where the executions took place, perhaps even someone who lived or worked there. This theory is based on the fact that the Ripper seemed to be able to move about that area undetected, despite the heavy police presence, suggesting that he was familiar with the streets and alleys of the East End. The Insider Theory is also based on the idea that Jack the Ripper was someone who had close connections to the police and the investigations into the Ripper executions. According to that part of the theory, the Ripper was able to carry out the executions with such impunity because he had insider knowledge about the investigation and the police force. Some believe that the Ripper was a police officer or someone with close connections to the police, who was able to use their knowledge and influence to carry out the crimes and avoid detection. This theory is also based on the idea that the Ripper was able to elude capture because of his close connections to the police and the investigation, and that authorities were reluctant to pursue him for fear of exposing the corruption and incompetence within the police force. Some believe that the Ripper was able to blend in with the local population, making it difficult for the police to identify him. This theory is supported by the fact that the Ripper seemed to be able to carry out his crimes without being seen or heard, and that he was able to escape the area without leaving behind any clues or evidence. However, this theory doesn't explain why the Ripper chose to target female intimacy workers, specifically, or why he carried out his crimes in such a brutal and sadistic manner. Number 1. The Foreigner Theory. The Foreigner Theory suggests that Jack the Ripper was a foreign national who came to England specifically to carry out the executions. This theory is based on the fact that the Ripper seemed to have a good understanding of anatomy and surgical techniques, suggesting that he may have had some medical training somewhere else. Some believe that the Ripper was a foreign doctor or medical professional who came to England with the specific intention of committing the executions.
Here's this 5'7", 150 pound, 25 to 35-year-old American doctor, which is the exact description Scotland Yard put on their report. They believed it was an American doctor.
This theory is also supported by the fact that the Ripper seemed to vanish into thin air without leaving behind any solid clues or evidence, suggesting that he was able to escape the country after committing the crimes. This theory doesn't account for the fact that the Ripper seemed to have a good understanding of the East End and the local area though, and suggesting that he was familiar with the area prior to the executions. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment if you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next time on Crime Time.